What's up fam, Coach X back at it, this time letting you guys in low elo know the top 5 champs you should be playing to escape elo hell. I'm going to suggest one champion for each role based on patch 1021 and tell you why you have to start playing them. We're releasing informative videos every day now guys, so make sure to like the video to let us know you're enjoying the content and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. I'd also urge you to check out our website GameLeap.com for the most instructive league videos and courses going around that will for sure help you climb. Let's start with mid lane, Syndra. Syndra is still one of the most dominant mid laners this patch. Don't you guys hate it when Syndra presses R and you die from full HP? Yeah, we've all been there. But I'm going to teach you how to be that guy. At Worlds this year, Syndra has been the most picked mid, and all they do is pick the most broken champions. The Syndra can be beyond busted in your games. As a Syndra, it's important to understand why your kit is so OP. Syndra is a control mage who excels at bullying opponents in lane. You have one of the strongest level 1s and oppressive early games in the game, so be sure to play to that strength. Don't AFK and farm from tower, you might as well have picked Vigar, right? Look to harass your opponents when they go for a CS or channel an ability, and you never want the enemy laner to farm for free when you boast the advantage. If they want to get CS, you're taking their HP. Just remember, you are in a mobile mage and your only form of hard CC is your E, so a good strategy is to save it for when you get ganked. When you know you're safe, however, use E on the enemy mid. Let's go over some runes and builds that will make sure you stomp lane this patch. For melee matchups and assassins, take Electrocute, Taste of Blood, Ghost Porro, and Ravenous Hunter. Typically in these lanes the burst is more impactful, and I would recommend running Flash and Ignite as summoner spells. For range matchups, take Phase Rush, Mana Flow Band, Transcendent, Scorch. The movement speed is generally more worth. I'd also recommend taking Flash and a defensive summoner spell like Cleanse for champions like Twisted Fate or Annie, or Barrier for Orianna and Azir. Choose Inspiration for your secondary tree and take Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp Tonic. Against assassins like Zed and Fizz, taking Stopwatch instead of Biscuits is important, and you build that into Zhonya's. Gives you more survivability in lane. For your minor runes, take Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and Armor or Magic Resist depending on the matchup. But why Attack Speed? Well, it's a good question. Trading 9 Adaptive Force for 10% attack speed makes it easier to last hit, control waves, trade, especially with melee champions, take turret plates, and wards. For your build, start with Corrupting Potion. This maximizes our auto attack harass and makes sure we always have sufficient HP and mana. Your goal is to back on 1300 gold for Lost Chapter, but in games when you don't have enough gold for Lost Chapter, Dark Seal, Amp Tone, Control Ward, D-Ring, all of those will suffice. Ludens, Sorcerer's Shoes, Oblivion Orb is a great core in all elos, but especially around gold and silver, because your opponent most likely won't build any magic resist. Meaning the magic penetration you acquire from Sorks and Oblivion Orb ignores their base magic resist, so you're dealing tooltip damage. You'll be one-shotting a lot more guys, trust me. Depending on team composition, Zhonya's, Deathcap, Spellbinder, Banshees, Void Staff, Leandry's, those are all viable. Skill order is very standard, always start Q and E second. In aggressive matchups, take another point in Q at level 3 and W level 4. In passive lanes, W level 3. Always max Q, E, then W. Heading on over to the jungle, we have Khazix, or as I call him, Bugsplat. I feel as if Khazix has always been a great solo queue champion, and this patch nothing has changed. The Void River hadn't been touched for the entirety of Season 10 until a few patches ago, when they buffed his isolation bonus damage on his Q from 100% to 110%. He's flown under the radar for a long time, and if you're a jungler in low elo, definitely start playing Khazix if you want to climb before the season ends. He has a fairly weak early game and can get abused in some matchups, so your goal is to hit level 3 as safely as possible. Against Graves and Kindred, Khazix can't return fire until he gets R, so I'd recommend starting red buff in these hard early games. This eliminates the threat of the enemy jungler invading you while you're doing Gromp after blue buff. This also means that if the enemy does misplay, you're in a position to capitalize because you have red buff, which gives you a lot more power in early 1v1s than blue. Against junglers who probably won't invade you, especially those like Rammus and Amumu, starting blue buff is fine. It just depends on what side of the map you want to play around early game. There are a few rune setups and build paths for Khazix, so let's take a look. Against champs who can kite you, take Phase Rush, Nullifying Orb or Nimbus Cloak depending on AP or AD, Absolute Focus, Water Walking. Junglers like Graves, Elise and Nidalee have skill shots, range, and you need to be able to stick to them. Against champs that can't kite you as much like Lee Sin and Hecarim, take Conqueror, Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Reason for Conqueror is that you do more damage the longer the fight, so it's ideal against bruisers like Lee Sin and Hecarim, who are typically harder to kill. Dark Harvest and Electrocute aren't as good as Phase Rush and Conqueror, but against a squishy team it would work. Your secondary tree is always the same. Inspiration with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. Minor runes always take 2 Adaptive Force and Armor or Magic Resist depending on the matchup. Your build is the same with both Phase Rush and Conqueror. Red Smite Warrior, Ninja Tabi or Merc Treads depending on the enemy jungle, Black Cleaver, Duskblade, Edge of Night, and Lord Dominic's Regards or Mortal Reminder depending on the enemy comp. For Dark Harvest and Electrocute, it's all about lethality. Blue Smite Warrior, Duskblade, Ghostblade, Edge of Night, Lord Doms, or Mortal Reminder. Skill order, we're starting Q, W second, and E third. For maxing, Q first, W, then E, same order. Now for evolving, we upgrade our ultimate at level 6, W at level 11, and Q at level 16. The ult upgrade works great with Black Cleaver. The 20% cooldown reduction means you have extended invisibility and can therefore initiate fights with much lower risk, survive for longer, and have a greater chance of assassinating the enemy backline. And if you take Phase Rush, the R evolve is even better. W evolve is very useful at level 11. Instead of one cluster, Khazix fires 3 in a cone and slows enemies by 60% and up to 90% if isolated, making it easier to gap close and kill. It also grants sight on enemies. If an enemy champion is hiding in a brush, your W shows them. Note however that your W won't reveal Akali in her shroud or Teemo when stealthed. Q evolve extends Khazix's auto attack range and Q range, and refunds 45% of the cooldown if the target is isolated. Great for trying to assassinate enemies later in the game because you can get multiple Qs off in a fight. What's our top lane pick? It's the Croc, Renekton. Renekton is a monster in lane and is ideal for low elo because it's very easy to punish mistakes. Renekton hasn't been nerfed at all this season, and is the second most popular top pick at Worlds, so if the pros are playing him, he must be good, right? Playing Renekton means playing his Fury. Your focus during lane should be to stack up your Fury and then look to fight. You can of course trade without your Fury stacked, but most of the time it's a waste of cooldowns. You're better off to use them with Fury to enhance their effects. Let's take a look at the best rune setup and build path. Rune-wise, take Press the Attack, Triumph, Bloodline, Last Stand. Take Resolve, Demolish, and Bone Plating. For minor runes on Renekton, take Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, Armor, or Magic Resist depending on the matchup. Your core items on Press the Attack Renekton are Blade of the Rune King, Black Cleaver, and Death's Dance. Start Doran's Blade, then build into Cutlass, into Bork. Treads or Tabis depending on the matchup, Cleaver, Death's Dance, Derek's Gaze, and Guardian's Angel. Start Q and take E second, W third. We're maxing Q, then E, and W last. Let me show you guys 2 auto attack or animation cancels for Renekton that will help you guys win every trade. The first cancel. You lead with an auto attack and W as soon as the auto attack animation starts. This cancels the animation and maximizes DPS. This is essential to understand and practice because it's part of every Renekton combo out there. The second cancel is used with your E. You want to start this combo by hovering your mouse over the enemy champion. You then E and Q at the same time and auto attack, E back out. The auto attack cancels your Q and is a great way to surprise opponents with damage. Our best ADC pick for 1021 is Jhin. Ashe is too immobile, Caitlyn takes too long to master. Jhin is the perfect balance. He's easy enough to play, does insane amounts of damage, and is hard to get onto later in the game because of all his movement speed bonuses. Runes take Fleet Footwork for mobility, Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace to increase 4th shot and ult damage. Take Sorcery as your secondary tree with Nimbus Cloak and Celerity, 2 Adaptive Force, and Armor in minor runes. For your build, start Doran's Blade and aim for 1300 gold on your first back for a BF sword. If you don't have enough gold, then prioritize Boots of Swiftness and Pickaxe. Infinity Edge should be your first major item, but if you don't have enough gold for IE and you do for Stormrazor, buy Stormrazor. Rapid Fire Cannon is always next, followed by whatever you didn't buy first between IE and Stormrazor. For your last 2 items, I'd recommend Phantom Dancer and either QSS or Lord Dom's Mortal Reminder. Once you have Rapid Fire Cannon, your range becomes very hard to deal with, so guys, let's keep it that way, yeah? And not headbutt the enemy Renekton every fight. The 700 range on your Rapid Fire auto allows you to auto attack and land your W without damage from your team. Once Stormrazor is built, the Paralyzed passive synergizes incredibly well with Rapid Fire and your abilities, slowing an enemy by 75% for half a second. The skill order on the Virtuoso, start Q, W level 2, another point in Q level 3, then E. Maxing the Dancing Grenade, followed by W and E. Last on the list is Pantheon. Despite the nerf to his Q, Pantheon is still one of the best supports in 1021. He's easy to play, does a lot of damage, has a point and click stun, and is a great roamer. Into slippery AD carries like Vayne and Kalista, he doesn't have to rely on a skill shot like Thresh and Blitzcrank, and against low elo Jins and Caitlyn's, they don't have the mechanics to punish Panth and keep away from him. Your big power spike in lane is level 2. When you or your ADC is about to last hit the 3rd melee minion of the 2nd wave, get ready to level W and all in. Even flashing and Wing almost always guarantees a kill if your AD carry is there to back you up. After your first base, which is usually around level 3, look to roam mid. The enemy mid won't be expecting a gank from a support so early on, so you can catch them off guard. When you're level 6, it's a great idea to use your ultimate when running from base. The enemy team will have no vision on you, and at this point you'll have plenty of damage to secure kills. You almost become a second jungler. For runes, take Conqueror, Triumph, Tenacity, Coup de Grace. Domination is your secondary tree with Zombie Ward and Relentless Hunter. For minor runes, 2 Adaptive Force and Armor. Build-wise, start with Shoulder Guards, first item Umbral Glaive, followed by Boots of Swiftness. Glaive gives you AD, CDR and lethality, and the Blackout passive enables you to clear wards efficiently. Fourth item is Black Cleaver, then Death Stance. As your last item, you should keep buying control wards and elixirs until you can buy the full item. I'd recommend Guardian's Angel. The skill order, max Q, E, and W. As always, thanks so much for watching the video, Game Leapers. These 5 champions will help you climb out of ELO hell, I'm sure of it. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and go over to our website and indulge in the amazing league content we have to offer. This has been Coach Eggs. Until next time, peace.